Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back, or for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Joanna the Medium, or Joanna. I am a medium. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. I think on two videos I said March. Please disregard that. I was doing them in March. But they are for April. So if you hear March, it is April. It's in fact for April. What can I say? I'm going to be very brief. If you guys would like to have a session with me, a personal session with me, that information is down below. You know how to find me. For those of you who are my clients, thank you so much. For those of you who are watching, thank you so much. For those of you who are subscribing, thank you so much for giving me your time. And I'm going to state my intention. My intention is to give you something to think about. My intention is to inspire a thought. Hopefully a thought that will lead to a different conclusion, that will allow you to have a different perception, which then will allow you to shift your reality. So that is always my highest intention, which means sometimes certain things will come in terms of predictions, and sometimes it's going to be way bigger than that in terms of what's happening energetically. And based on that, you can decide how to use this information or this energy in order to help you. So that is my intention for you. Of course, it may not make sense to everybody. Everyone is different. However, I feel a majority of you will be able to understand these messages at some point, whether it's in April, May, or June, or the following months. For some of you, the energies you may have been feeling for quite some time already. So it may be an indication of what has been happening with you. Keep that in mind. And if nothing makes sense, don't worry about it, but do maybe check in down the road, because chances are it will make perfect sense to you. And also listen to your other signs. I also will say this, these energies or the messages, even though they're by a zodiac sign, it is very clear to me, and that's what I'm being told, that even if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't normally listen to, let's say you click on one of my videos, you're a Cancer, but you click on Pisces, and I don't know, you clicked it because, I don't know, you just clicked it, and then all of a sudden there's some message in there that resonates with you 100%. Don't dismiss this message, because although it's not under your sign, it is a message for you, and therefore you're hearing it. So that's how I would encourage you to use my messages. They're mostly about universal laws. It's how things work and how things are being seen from a higher perspective, so to speak. And I think that's all I have. Extremely, extremely transformative month. Every single sign I've done, without a doubt, every single sign that I've done for April, extraordinary, powerful energy of transformation. And I know that March has been kind of feeling that way. I have certainly been going through my own transformation, and I know it's not over yet. It was actually incredible to see that in every single sign. So with that said, I'm going to just move on and let you enjoy the rest of the messages. I wish you best of luck. Of course, if you would like a private session, that information is down below. If you would like to comment, please do so as well. I always love hearing them or seeing them. Thank you again so much for giving me your time. Thank you for participating in my journey. It is actually because of you that I am on this journey, because if it wasn't for you, the listener, there would be no need for me to do this. So thank you once again. I wish you absolutely wonderful time in April, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay, let's get started. Hello, beautiful Sagittarians. These are going to be your messages for the month of April 2019. Let me see, where do I want to start? Okay, I'll start with the words that I received for you. And actually the statement that came for me, to me, was resolution of long-standing conflict. So when I heard that, I just went, shh, yes. And then a few minutes later, when I pull out the cards, one of the first cards that came up was, where was it? Where did it go? Right here. Magic prayer, which basically says your prayers are being answered. So whatever prayers you have been sending out there, whatever it is that you have been wishing or asking for, I feel is in a process of manifestation. So if you have thought, if you have wanted $1 million, and does that mean that you're going to get that in the month of April? Well, I hope you do. But chances are you are at least going to be much more of a vibrational match that will ultimately attract something to your life that makes you feel like $1 million. So, just like with all the other signs, like I've said, very transformative times, a lot of energy that is transformative. So you are no different. You are no different. You have the card of ultimate evolution, which is all about radical change, either undergoing a radical change or about to undergo radical change, where aspects of your personality will begin to shine. Certain aspects of your personality that you have held dormant, for example, will begin to shine. And that will be a result of you letting go of certain things that are, well, for some of you, not good for you. And for others of you, just, you know, not working in terms of your manifestation. Okay, so the other thing that I had for you was believe in yourself more. And obviously that's a statement that can be applied to anything and anyone. But when I felt it, it came to me in a way that I knew that it's going to be for those of you who are going through some changes, and there is a need, you had to be resilient, or it's, you know, you're becoming very resilient as a process of these changes. It's like pizza dough. When you stretch a pizza dough and you want to work it in a certain way to make it big, you don't just tear it apart. You work it very gently so it has time to stretch. So it's a process, in other words. But the statement, believe in yourself more, is for those of you who are in the middle of some change, and perhaps you're not too thrilled with where you're at. You're not too thrilled with what's happening. You're just not, you know, in other words, believe in yourself more and have faith is very important. Thank you. In a short way, you're being encouraged to keep going. So what might be some of the areas that might be affected in the month of April? Keep in mind, some of you will understand this more towards May or even in June. And some of you, this may have already been happening in terms of how you're feeling for quite some time. The Emperor shows up in a position, in this position. And so I just hear the word control. So for some of you, you are not feeling in control. You are not feeling in control of your own life. You're not feeling in control of your own destiny. You're not feeling in control in life, in relationship. Whatever it is that you are not in control of, it's either going to be magnified in the month of April, or it has already started to come out and be visible to you. Let me just tune more into this card. For some of you, this could be I keep hearing the word boss. What is this? So this could be a person who is your boss, someone you're working with, and they may actually be very controlling. Or you might be working for someone who has no control over what they do, and a lot of responsibilities fall on your shoulders. So that's going to be for very few of you, not all of you. For most of you, this message pertains to you, and that is you either feeling like you are not in control, or you are so controlling that life has difficulty to give to you. When we are very controlling, it's because we're trying to force a certain outcome. And sometimes the outcome we want to force is not necessarily something that is ideal. However, we may not know what ideal is because our current level of understanding ourselves, or the level of or your consciousness, or your awareness is not allowing you to see what might be better. And therefore, the universe may want to give you something better or something more, but because you have a very rigid idea of what it's supposed to look like, you're not even going to be open to the opportunity or possibility that may be presented to you. So that kind of flew out there. I'm going to leave that for some of you. So lack of control, too controlling, having no aim. I also hear feeling distant. Perhaps you have distanced yourself off from other people, and that was your way of maintaining your sanity, or maintaining your space. But now you've come to a point where it's very hard for you to be around people because you're much more prefer feeling alone. If that's the case, and you want to commitment, for example, being there by yourself at home, is chances of you having a commitment, well, it's going to be pretty tough, because the commitment is not going to come to your door and say, hey, pick me, right? So that's just one representation of this card. The Three of Cups is a disappointment. I am not predicting that you will be disappointed. I am saying that one of the reasons why you might be feeling like you are not in control, or you are too controlling, is because you have dealt with some sort of a disappointment in the past, and you're still holding on to it. The King of Cups showed up. So for some of you, this is going to be around a male who is emotionally withdrawn, or emotionally very manipulative, or emotionally not there. Okay, for others of you, this is you are holding yourself back, emotionally speaking, and that creates a whole bunch of things in your life, and some of those things well, could be disappointing. For example, if you are one of those people who controls your emotions, because you don't want to get hurt, so you don't share of yourself as much, you're just very much in control, yes, and then you attract a person, for example, who is very giving. Unless you have an even flow, it's just not going to work. It's going to create a whole bunch of problems, and some of you may have come to a point where you're realizing that you keeping yourself safe and secure by holding back your emotions, you actually are hurting yourself, because you're actually not allowing someone to come to you. And when they do, you keep them at arm's length. So that would be one way of that a person could be controlling themselves in a relationship, or controlling a relationship. But chances are it's got something to do with this is either someone who was significant in your life at one point, and could be a male, could be female, but it feels to me of authority. So could have been mother, father, somebody of importance to you, but emotionally there was some sort of withholding, maybe even manipulation. If it is what you have experienced while growing up, then chances are your ability to attract a relationship like that into your life is pretty darn good. Therefore, what's going to happen is you will attract the same old, and eventually you'll be disappointed. Okay, so I'm not saying you guys are going to be disappointed in the month of April. I am saying that if you feel not in control of your life, or you are too controlling, chances are you're holding to some sort of a disappointment that has happened long time ago. Let me see, where do I go next? New consciousness is a very simple message. You are shifting and changing, and the change and shift is radical in many cases. Incidentally, 5 and 4 is 9, so it is all about letting go. 5 is changes, 4 is stability. So many of you going through whatever you're going through are breaking through in order to create a brand new foundation for yourself. And foundation is what we build our life on. Foundation is our belief system. Foundation is our work. Foundation is our relationships, but predominantly our belief system. If our belief system is not very strong, or if it's not aligned in order to support whatever that we are trying to accomplish, then the end result is either not going to last very long if it's good, or you're going to have a difficult time attracting a good end result to you. Why? Because your foundation is unable to sustain it. You first have to have a matching vibration in terms of your belief. You guys get the picture. So new consciousness, a lot of changes. I'm being drawn to the circle, which is to me, I feel this is solar plexus. I also see it as sun. Well, solar plexus, sun, it's all about the power component. It's the solar plexus, the tummy area. It's all about the will. It's all about I am. Is it I am? I believe so. It's all about how much you believe in yourself. I feel some of you, for those of you who work with energy, I feel there, for some of you, you're holding on to some residual energy from the past that is affecting your thoughts. Well, obviously it would affect your thoughts, but it affects your thoughts in a way that is preventing you from being more creative. So if you hold yourself back, for example, because you're not wanting to be heard, your ability to create will be thwarted a little bit because you're holding yourself back because you're afraid of disappointment. It seems like I'm floating around disappointment a lot, but again, I feel that a lot of you, whoever listens to this and whoever it makes sense to, again, we are all in transitions. You're no different. Part of the transition process is realizing some things we either had no awareness of before, or we chose not to have awareness. And we do that for various reasons. However, there comes a time where certain things cannot be ignored any longer. They simply become too visible, too painful, too much, too in our face. They simply cannot be ignored. It is that time, and that's usually where transition comes in. It is that time that we then seek out help, whether it is you watching this video or reaching out to me or somebody else, or allow yourself to look for answers to your problem or your situation, oftentimes allowing you to shift your perspective so that you can only solve a problem from a space that's different where the problem originated. We all know that, right? When you're smack in the middle of something and you're emotionally charged, it's very hard to be clear-headed. But when you're outside of it and your emotional charge is not as high, you're much more likely to see it very clearly and therefore make a much more solid, concrete choice or decision. The Wizard of Awareness is, I feel like I'm all over the place a little bit, but just bear with me. The Wizard of Awareness is a message that says, relax a little, don't try to force things to happen. So although you might be going through changes, transformations, whatever you want to call it, life has its own rhythm, so to speak. And particularly for those who are controlling and you want to control everything or your situation, letting go of control and letting life lead you can become a little bit problematic. Why? Because it's scary. If you have always relied on you to control your environment and that keeps you safe, and now you're being asked to let go of control, you essentially are being asked to let go of what you believe is safety. And that takes some work and some effort to shift that around. We all want safety. Nobody says safety isn't important. It's critical to us thriving, but we associate safety to various things, right? So at the end of the day, true safety comes from within, and then it is complemented by the things in our life that are contributing to making us feel safe. So if you have been pushing really hard, or if you're trying to push something really, really hard and nothing is happening, your best course of action is to take the hands off your wheel and put the car on autopilot. So that is a metaphor for going with the flow. Not an easy thing to do for people who need control. Going with the flow is, I was there once, and it's hard. It is particularly when, well, one relies on themselves to be, to control things in order to manage life. Letting go of that idea can prove to be very, very difficult. Heal the ouch is another message, and how appropriate. It's all about wounds. This message is twofold for me. For some of you, this is a message for those of you who are healers, or healers to be, or healers wanting to be healers. If you are practicing healer, chances are you are undergoing your own transformation. And if you are a healer, particularly if you are a healer, you carry with you some scars. And like everybody, but you probably a good chunk of it will be your scars, because it is your scars that actually make you want to be a healer, or is what makes you a good healer. So that's a message for some of you who are healers. Sometimes, how do I say this without sounding kind of like judgmental? How do I say this? Sometimes when we are very good at something, sometimes we have blinders on. We believe we know everything about it, and that's just the way it is. But the reality is that we don't know everything about anything. It's all part of this game, so to speak. It's all about unfolding and uncovering. So what I'm trying to say here, I'm going to say it. I'm going to point blank say it. If you're a healer, and if you feel that you've worked through all your problems and you've worked them all out, chances are it's not the case, because, well, it's what I'm being shown, and I know that's the case because I'm a healer. I guess I'm considered a healer, and I have a whole bunch of shit going on. However, I am okay with knowing that there's a whole bunch of stuff within me that I still want to work through. And part of me wanting to work through it is because when I work it through with myself, I can then work it with my client, or work it out with my client. So if you're a healer, don't think that you're above all that. And I don't mean to sound like that, but it's just coming across that way. Maybe you know someone who is a healer and you see them, but they don't seem to be seeing anything that you see, because they're convinced that, they've done this, then they've done that. And they're basically a clean slate. You might know somebody like that. So that's one message. The other message is the obvious one about healing old wounds. Whether you have hurt someone or someone has hurt you, and that will happen. It's part of life. It's unavoidable. It is time to learn how to let go, usually through forgiveness. Forgiveness is a funny thing. In all my years of working with clients, self-forgiveness is probably one of the, if not the most difficult thing to achieve for a person. We can forgive so many people and so many other things before we can forgive ourselves. It is not even funny. There's something about that. So if you are holding on to some feelings of guilt, of feelings of resentment, some feelings of whatever it is that you're holding on from the past, how do I say this? Be proud of yourself first and foremost for whoever you are today. Be proud, because to be in the physical body is not a small feat. It is not a dance. It is often very difficult. So be proud of yourself for who you are. Whatever you think you are not, be proud of those things that you are able to experience that. I'm not saying be proud of what you've done if you've been a shithead to somebody, but be proud that you are able to have that experience and that you're able to recognize it. See it from a different perspective. That will allow you to let go some of the shame and some of the guilt you might be feeling, particularly when it comes to healing wounds. This is often a card of, well, disappointment, rejection, yes, but it's also a third wheel. So this is, for some of you, this may signify that at some point, long time ago, you were cheated on. That's not going to be for all of you. It's going to be for some of you. And this is not that this is happening or will happen. This is something that has happened already. Maybe it happened 2 weeks ago. Maybe it happened 25 years ago. Point is, if you have that in your life, in your experience, note if it's still affecting you, particularly in the way you trust other people. If your trust has been compromised, then it would be perfectly understandable and natural that you would have some challenges with trust. Normal, very normal. However, holding on to it for dear life isn't helpful either, because at the end of the day, and I always say this, when we protect ourselves with our thick walls, the reality of it is this: if somebody wants to hurt you, there is no wall thick enough in the world that can prevent that from happening. It's simply, there isn't such thing. However, what will happen is love will be prevented from flowing to you, because that wall that you have built to protect you will block it from coming to you. Okay. One more thing I'm going to leave with you. Fire is showing up here. So we know the fire element: passion, love, anger, resentment. That's all fire. And it's showing up in this position. And this actually talks about an internal fire that has been misdirected. Perhaps you hold on to a lot of anger towards yourself. Perhaps you hold on to a lot of anger towards another. All those feelings and emotions are not bad things. There's no such thing as a bad or good feeling. It doesn't feel good, but feeling isn't good or bad. Feeling simply is. Feeling simply tells you where you're at. It is what we do with those feelings, how long we hold on to them, and how much we allow those feelings to rule our life, that becomes problematic, particularly if you are wanting to attract something and you're not. So always think of your emotions as your soul's vocabulary. Your emotions is a language, is your soul's language to communicate to you what's going on. That's one of the ways that I guess our soul communicates to us. I never really said it that way before, but that's interesting. Is there anything else that I need to? Safety. Okay. In terms of safety, for those of you who have challenges with feeling safe inside, and I'm not talking about, not being in a home that's safe. I'm talking internal safety. Coming from a space within you that makes you feel fundamentally solid inside, and that allows you to feel a certain level of safety and stability within you. If you have been rejected in the past, if you have had disappointments, if somebody has betrayed you, that would absolutely, without question, undermine your feelings of safety. However, holding on to that is no longer an option. I mean, I guess you could always hold on to it. The reason why I say it's no longer an option is because chances are you wanting to experience something more, something different, something much more beautiful in your life. And I'm not saying you guys are not experiencing beautiful things, but this is going to hit home for some of you in various situations and yeah, at various times. The key, I'm being shown the key. Always know that the key, whatever it is that you're looking for, the key is always inside of you. And that's partly what I teach my clients, how to look, where to look, how to recognize certain things, how to read certain feelings and emotions and interpretations and all that kind of stuff. Where was I going with this? I'm just going to move on from that, and I'm just going to add, it is critically important that you look at the relationship you have with yourself. If you are someone who is very hard on him or herself, and you tear yourself apart by giving yourself a talk that makes you feel crappy about you, then your relationship with you sucks. And why am I bringing the word relationship? Because the relationship we have with ourselves is the relationship that we will have with the universe and the world, with other people, with friends, with family, with commitments. So notice the relationship you have with yourself. Do you reject yourself a lot? Do you have conflicting thoughts about who you are? Do you have aspects of you that you hate? Do you have aspects of you that you would rather not have? All those things create at the end of the day a sense of separation from within you. That sense of separation creates almost like these empty pockets, and these empty pockets need to be fulfilled. Your mind is going to fulfill them. So what happens is when we reject ourselves, we create these empty pockets, and we're looking to the outside to fill those empty pockets. Problem is we can never do that, not successfully and not long term, because anything that isn't ours, period. So I think you guys get the picture. So if you are someone who is in a constant self-rejection mode, because maybe you've been disappointed before and somehow you blame yourself, it is important to recognize that. And if you had a friend who felt the same way that you did, you'd know exactly how to help your friend. You'd give them good advice. You'd tell your friend, don't be so hard on yourself. Notice the beautiful things about you. Notice the generosity that you have. Notice how amazing you are. That is what you will tell your friend. You need to learn how to be a good friend to you, because that's fundamental in life in order to thrive. And it is only recently that I have come to learn this. And when I say learn, I had a cognitive awareness of it, but it is integrating into my being. So I am being it. It feels very different. Similar to self-love. I mean, we can tell ourselves, yeah, I love myself, I love myself. But when it actually comes down to a feeling, and I've had the experience where I actually felt moments of love for myself. First of all, it was so overwhelming that I was extremely emotional. But it was just so unusual, so out of the norm, almost scary. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. I hope it makes sense. And I think that's all one more thing. Smoky mirror in reverse basically says, what is it that you don't want to see? Or what is it that you don't want other people to see about you? If there is something you're hiding from, or if there's something you are hiding from the world, chances are you're trying to hide it from yourself as well. Really? Okay, that's interesting. Those are usually the aspects that we self-eject. So whatever it is that you don't want to see, what is it that you're hiding from yourself or from others? Do you feel maybe that if somebody was to see you, they would realize that you're not enough? It's nonsense. You're not enough only if you believe that you are not enough. And yes, I understand it takes a while to cultivate feeling abundant inside, especially if you come from the other side. But it is absolutely doable. And I will tell you that from a personal perspective and experience. It absolutely is doable. I can't help but notice the 4 and 7, which comes to 11. That's balance. It is the proverbial scale. It's, well, yin and yang. It's the balance. It's harmony. 4 is stability. It is the essence of stable foundation. 7 is always an energy of transformation and aha moments. So whatever you are not looking at, or whatever it is that you're hiding from, has the potential to completely shift your vibration once you allow yourself to see it. Self-recognition, hugely important. Chances are, if you're listening to this, you compliment other people and you shower them with compliments. But when it comes to complimenting yourself or other people complimenting you, you may have challenges or difficulty with that. I've said this in other videos, and you guys have heard this, I'm sure. But if you have any challenges receiving kind gestures or kind words or compliments, that's a dead giveaway that there is an issue with receiving. And I've gone through it myself. So I know, again, with my experience, that that's how it works. So just observe that, okay? And yeah, and just, this is about cultivating new awareness. Remember, ultimate revolution, ultimate evolution, moving from very rigid, structured ways of thinking to freedom, from fear to freedom, right there. And whatever you get from it, it's up to you. I can't help but look at the 2 zeros, 100. So 1 new beginning, 2 zeros. There's a lot of what's the word I want to use here? A lot of culminating energy with this. Energy of culmination, coming to an end, ending cycle. Pretty much the same words. And I think that's all I want to do. That's all I have for you. I hope this was helpful. Of course, like I said, I always say this makes no sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you. Do listen to it a few times, if not April, then other months, because this may transpire over time for you. And always remember you are important. No matter what, always remember you are important. And as such, you have to treat yourself that way. Whatever that statement means to you. For private session, that information is down below. I wish you best of luck. Please take care of yourself. You are resilient, and believe in yourself more is what I'm going to say. And with that said, thank you again so much for allowing me to do this. I wish you best of luck and see you soon.